Hello guys and welcome to No Film. We'll talk about movies, series and everything between. We have a very exciting discussion today and I'm here with...
Paul here.
Jude and Sai, aka Paul Jele, good to be back.
Alright, so we have some regulars on the show. We have Paul and we have Jude. And today's episode is very exciting. So I'm sure a couple of us have wondered, recently you've been watching a show and then you're like, this show is good, but then it doesn't quite live up to the shows that we used to watch back then. And it's something that a lot of us have been thinking about. And today we're just going to talk about that, why we think that shows in this modern era are not quite as good as the shows we used to get back then in like the early 2000s and then 2010s. Yeah. Right. So that's going to be a discussion. To set off the whole discussion, first, do you agree to the statement that shows we are getting today are not quite as good as the shows we used to get back in the day? If you do, why do you think that is? Let's start with Jude.
So many factors for me because like you said, if you take it from modern times, like the 2000s and the 2010s, they took us on such a high with their shows that I think the bar was set too high. So everything that followed after those time periods kind of became lackluster to us. So I think one of the factors is we are spoiled for choice because we are introduced to so many great things in those time periods. So now when they do stuff in the 2020s, it doesn't really compare. And I think another thing is because of what they're doing right now with shows across the board, they're peppered with political propaganda right now. Instead of focusing on storytelling, having us learn these moral values or whatever lessons you want us to learn from the shows. Instead, you have all these current political events going on and you try and infuse it into your shows. It's good to put some of these things in there. It's fine for us to learn. But the thing about these people in Hollywood is that they take aspects of like what's going on and then they skew it to favor their own ideals or what they think is what they think is going on, and then they screw with a lot of people's sets, especially younger people who are watching the shows. Then they have them thinking all sorts of rubbish when they finish watching it. You have people saying things that don't factor in with reality, and it's because of these shows kind of feeding them this political messaging and garbage. And I also think because of like you're afraid to cross the line. So what I mean by that is
playing it safe.
You look at playing it safe. So if you look at something like sitcoms, because I'm a very big sitcom guy. Yeah. Now because of the current climate, the current social climate, everyone gets offended easily when you say something about a particular group or a particular person. So you can't make jokes like you used to anymore. Because if I watch a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Modern Family or How I Met Your Mother, they make jokes and they're not afraid to make those jokes because at the end of the day, it's not done with malicious intent. Exactly. They're doing it just for fun. So if you just step up and say, oh, you offended me, you did this to me, it's like, how am I going to get a good show that I can laugh at? Because I want to laugh at the end of the day. I don't want you trying to play safe around me because you feel like you offend me. I don't know you from anywhere. I just want to laugh. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with like almost everything he said. I think in the time, what was happening was that there was not much pressure on these streaming platforms too. And there were not even a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, there were just a few who were doing the shows. They sit down, write a storyline, probably write it, looking at it on a long-term basis. Yeah. And I think their worry was never really on whether it will perform or not. It was just on, let's do it. If it works, we keep going. As we keep going, the investment is coming. Yeah. People will keep watching it. Yeah. Look at something like Grey's Anatomy. Even till now, it's still showing. Yeah. And people love watching it because from the time past, they have really done a good job investing in the storyline. Yeah. I think things now have become like everybody's rushing. Exactly. I need to put something out there. Exactly. I need to get the views. I need to get the get the ratings. So let's put something out there. Yeah. And sometimes it works for maybe the first season, right? So let's say you release a show. Okay, let's see how it does. Everybody's like, yo, we can't wait for season 2. The characters were really great. Everybody's like, release season 2 now. And so now the pressure becomes, okay, let's ditch what we had initially. Let's just keep dropping something. And then at a certain point, you realize that you lose the creativity. You lose the idea you had from the beginning. So let's do something. Maybe they will like it. And then at a certain point, you realize that no, they probably just did one. They probably just intended it for just one season, and then now it's become so many seasons. And because you realize that even with a lot of series now, you get to season 2, season 3, and you are not convinced that it will even continue. So sometimes you watch season 1, you wake up one morning, it's been cancelled.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the things that make those shows, like shows nowadays, lose that sort of feel and performance.
Yeah, I think I agree with all what you said. I think one of the reasons also is like now, as you said, there are so many streaming platforms and everybody needs to get things out. I feel like back in the day, people used to be passionate about projects. People wanted to do things they were interested in. If you watch shows, like people enjoyed it. Now it's more like just metrics they want to hit. Now we have so many streaming platforms. Netflix, for example, so many shows. They're just trying to hit quotas. And it's like now there are resources to make shows. So everyone can make anything. Back then, it was much difficult. So before you make a show, because there's a lot going into it, it needs to be something you are sure of, something you're passionate about. And people used to make shows like they cared about because they're investing a lot into it. Back then, there wasn't like CGI like that. So it takes a lot of effort. And if you're putting effort into something, you're definitely going to do something good. Yeah, and then also back then, like the way you said, we used to have like continual shows that could go span for various seasons. And for that, you'll be invested into it. But now, it's like, it's just quotas. All the shows are just quotas. We have so many streaming platforms. There are so many shows. And that affects the quality because there's now a lot of quantity. Back then, we used to have, like, there used to be more of like the channels that used to have like their shows, TV. But then it wasn't like quotas like the way it is now. So even for Netflix, if a show is good and it doesn't hit a certain quota, it's going to be cancelled.
True.
And then now people are not invested in because, this show, even if it's good, the only reason why you're going to get a new season is if maybe it hits a quota, people are going to watch it, the viewership. It's not about whether the show is good or not, which means that we miss out on a lot of good shows. And then we are not even motivated to watch shows. Yeah, and I also feel like back then, like as you said, comedy and stuff like that, there was more freedom, creative freedom. Now, it's like even the studio heads, if you watch what is going on, the studio heads have so much say in what happens in the shows that now even like the directors, the screenwriters are not given full creative freedom to express their ideas the way they want it out. So now we are not getting the actual vision. We are getting down watered down versions of what initially we used to get. So I think a lot of these factors are part of the reasons why. Yeah, I also feel like aside this, I feel like there is a little bit of element of nostalgia in there because back then when we watched the shows, there was a certain feeling that we had and now things are different. So that sort of nostalgic feeling, we don't feel it anymore. So I feel like that's also a bit of the reason why we feel like, shows these days don't hit as hard as they used to back then.
Back to your point, I think another thing to do is also with technology.
Yeah.
Right now, the technology now is, I think a lot of people have access to it.
Yeah.
So I can sit down, get technology, do something quick, and then put it out there, see how it goes, and then based on that, people can now do shows as quickly as possible because the technology is there. And I also think that the standard then. I think the standard of those shows was really high.
High quality.
So you watch a show, you realize something like Black Mirror, Better Call Saul, shows like that had some pedigree. So if you are watching other series, you try to compare it to it, and you realize that no, it doesn't hit it like that. So people just lose interest, and then
But even to what you said about nostalgia, right? I think right now in this modern time, nostalgia has become like the ultimate trap for not just us as viewers, but for creatives as well. Because you see a lot of people right now, they get into doing reboots, sequels, revivals, what have you, because they go and bank on an already successful show, and then they decide, we'll just have the characters come back, get older, the stories are different, but now it's like it doesn't hit as much because, like I said, now you walk around eggshells when it comes to
Yeah.
certain topics.
Yeah.
Now you don't you won't dare to write certain storylines like you did back then, because back in the 2000s, the stuff I watched, the storylines were crazy, especially in sitcoms. Like there are things which I took as normal back then, but when I look at it from a modern lens, I'm like,
yeah.
try
you
to
can't say that anywhere,
Yeah,
bro.
how was this green
Somebody
back
come-
Yeah,
then?
it's like I see something like Scrubs. Scrubs said and did Scrubs. They said and did some things. I'm like, I can't say that in 2026 at all. So it's like they just knew the era they were in and they just had fun with it. But right now in this era we're in, where everybody's so overly sensitized to everything, it's like, can you really do a sitcom? Can you really even forget sitcom? Can you really do a TV show that tells a good story? And there are a few of them. Don't get me wrong, but it's quite rare. Because of all the stuff that we've been fed. And even when there's a show that does well, one season good, the following seasons it all gets watered down.
Exactly,
Because like you said, studio heads get in the way because of, there's marketing, you have to meet this number, you have to meet this metric. But at the end of the day, let the creatives do their thing. Don't get too many cooks spoil the broth. We all know that. So it's like, don't get involved in something that you know nothing about. You have people to do this stuff. Let them do it. And then you can give inputs after it's done. But let them handle the bulk of it, because they're the ones who are going to basically make it magic for you to spawn your audience.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so for the next part of the video, I just wanted us to, reminisce on some of like our favorite shows, or some of the shows that when we think of, these are like some of the best shows, or the golden age of TV, what are some of the shows that like come to mind?
Me, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That was a really good show.
Fresh Prince, like, that was my first introduction to Will Smith, right? Before Will Smith became who he became, like, I watched it on Metro TV all the time. When I even go to Kumasi and I'm staying with my uncle and my cousins, I found myself as kind of like Will. Well, I wasn't a troublemaker or anything, but it's like this. It had the same setting for me, so it's like I could relate. So it was just so funny and so hip back then. It's like the 90s was such a great time period. Like Friends was also there. Friends taught me about being a young adult, like in my 20s, like, doing everything on your own, like basically getting a job, having a relationship, all that stuff. Friends taught me that. 2.5 Men, it basically taught me that you can be a despicable man whore and just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be like a morally destructive thing, like as how we see it, but you can make it fun.
Also, with 2.5 Men, it was sort of like a social commentary.
Yeah.
As much as you would think he's living the good life, it actually shows like the negative aspect, or how depreciating it is to live in such a way that from afar it looks like he's living the best life, but when it matters most, you see that like he misses out in the things that actually make life worth living.
That you said right there, that is why I wish a lot of people would look at it because it's not celebrating promiscuity. Okay, you can look at it like that, but in another lens, you can look at it like it's showing you how stupid and how destructive these behaviors are. Because Charlie slept with woman after woman. He ended up with a child he didn't know. Ended up with all these pregnancy scares. That's not what you want.
Yeah.
So it's like, at the end of the day, when I watched it, I found it funny, but the whole point was to, it's satire, right? It's supposed to show you your folly and then just make fun of it, like in certain ways. So that is, it wasn't teaching you how to be like Charlie. It was telling you, if you live like Charlie, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what the show was about.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like in the nowadays we don't get quality fantasy adventure shows like we used to get. Shows like Legend with the Seeker, Merlin, and stuff like that. Those are some of the shows that like we enjoyed so much in our childhood, because like it was like fantasy. It serves like a sort of like an escape.
Yeah.
But I think for now, I think the closest thing we got was Wheel of Time, which was cancelled.
True.
We don't really get that much fantasy, that escape, that's like full, like, and I feel like that's also one of the shows. And the thing you said about sitcoms and comedy shows, like shows like The Office, which if it airs today,
it would be, the first episode will be cancelled.
Yes, exactly. So, and that's the thing. Back then, they used to do social commentary, but they used to make it very tasteful.
Yeah.
They used to do it in such a way that, like, a character like Michael Scott, he's supposed to be sort of like an example for us to learn from.
Right.
But people, I don't know if maybe it was up to different interpretations where people didn't really get the character of Michael, like sort of like a misunderstood, character.
Yeah.
I think if we try to add that today, because the stuff Michael did, the stuff he said, it wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
I think like The Office, The Big Bang Theory, Friends, as you mentioned, like sitcoms in general used to be so good. Back then we had shows like The Wire, we had The Sopranos. Used to get like dramas that were like very deep, you know, they had substance. Yeah, I think that's some of the shows I'm trying to think of. What about you, Paul? Some of the shows
I
that
think
really...
before you continue on the shows, I also think that their time frames, you see, you could air 23 episodes for a season. One season is about 22, 23 seasons, and every season you get something really good from it. One and almost all of them that did that 22, almost all of them hit like 6 seasons, 7 seasons before they even ended. Some ended because probably their storylines have ended, or it's not giving the appeal that they have anymore.
Were like they want to move on
there isn't
to
much
something.
to take from, like there isn't much to source out to create more seasons.
Exactly. So I think that, so like you said, Legend of the Seeker, Merlin, those were shows that had a lot of substance, very well invested in. Something like How to Get Away with Murder. It didn't probably hit 10 seasons, but at least you could understand the storylines really well. The suspense was there. Every episode is well written, and you are following the storyline. Yes, of course, some of the episodes will probably be boring. You don't expect to have the same energy throughout, but you are following along, and you know it's one episode at a time. So one episode leads you to another. The suspense keeps building till the end. Right now, you have series that will drop 10 at a go, 10 episodes. Then you now sit down. By the time you finish watching, you're like,
I mean, mostly thanks to streaming services.
And now we even have only 6 episodes for a season. You have to wait for only another season for only 6 episodes. Because a show like Law and Order, Law and Order was like a classic. And they had so many episodes all about different things, and it was like really good. I don't think we have like shows of that caliber today.
But I think when you look at it, some of them, they're able to tell stories like within those 6 episodes, and they're able to do very well. Others is because they've seen the climates, like the TV climate, right, where there's a lot of distaste for the current show, so they get cold feet and they just do 6 to 10 episodes as a safety net. We'll just do this, and then if they like it, we'll do more episodes for the second season. So it's like I see a show like I've been watching, Shifting Gears. They did 10 episodes for the first season. People started to gravitate towards it. They liked it as like a comfort show because it was like a family-oriented show. So they got more episodes for the second season, like 13. So hopefully third season they'll get more, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's the whole thing.
Even something like The Pit is 15. It's 15 episodes. Somebody may probably look at 15 and go like, nah,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. I want something within 6, 8, 10. And I think some of the shows too, they were meant to be like limited series, just air 10, and then that we end it. But then people go like, yo,
I feel
we
like
need to, like they are forced to
I
go
feel like
again.
with new shows, they don't know where to end, because a show that should span multiple seasons because it has such a good story, due to a lot of back decisions and stuff, it ends up being short. And a show that should be short, just a few seasons, because maybe at the beginning people liked it, then they try to drag it along for so many episodes. I feel like that's one thing that modern shows couldn't get back then, because back then, if they wanted to do a show, they wanted it to be long. From the get-go, it was designed that way. So it is a long show. Everything has been thought out for it to be a long show. So they release a long show. If it's a limited series, everything has been thought out for it to be a limited series. So they release a limited series. But now it's based on how it performs. It's not based on the idea. So the plan can be for it to be long. But then executive says you have only 3 seasons to wrap it up. So you have to rush through, and then you end up getting like a bad show. Or you plan for 3 seasons, but then it looks like it's doing well. So now executive says we want to milk 6 seasons out of this. And we end up getting now a watered down version of it. I feel like that's like a big issue we have with the modern series,
So
and also like the cancellations and stuff.
It starts really well.
Exactly.
Maybe 1, 2, 3 seasons, then you realize that no. Season 4. No.
But do you also think that whole pressure to give more is what spawns the revivals and the reboots after shows end.
Yeah, I feel like the when the audience are left with longing, that's what creates that vacuum for
Right.
people to be like, okay, the way the show ended, people are still want more, and then that's when they try and do the reboots, which most of the time are not as good as the original, and that's a whole issue for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think I agree with what Shuaib is saying.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the pressure from fans too, and I think sometimes people run out of ideas.
yeah.
So, Charlie, we don't
I
have
feel like
anything.
in
So
modern
let's-
times, like we've literally done everything there is. So now people have run out of ideas. So now we're just trying to put out anything we
something
can. Back then, there were lots of new and novel ideas to make
Yeah.
shows on. But it feels like now we've explored a lot. And now people are running out of like original ideas. Because right now, even when we get a new show, it's either based on something or it is a retelling of a story we've heard before.
Yeah.
And for stuff like that, because like that novelty is not there, it's very difficult to be highly invested into
Right.
shows like that. Yeah.
But even with that, I think I still feel like some series have done well in terms of like, okay, we know it's 3 seasons. We are going to give it 10 episodes, right? So something like maybe Alice in Borderland. Alice in Borderland is like 3 seasons and it's ended. So they are aware that this is how the storyline is going to be like. 3 seasons, we give it to you and then we end that.
Oh, yeah, but if we are talking modern shows, I'm going to give props to Apple TV because
Sure.
Apple TV knows how to make shows. If it's meant to be 3 seasons, they do very good 3 seasons and they'll stop. I say this here and I've said this anywhere else. If Ted Lasso have to be aired on a different platform aside Apple TV, they would have made like 10 seasons because the first 2 seasons were so good and people loved it so much. But Apple said, we are doing 3 seasons and that's it. After
Right.
that, that's the end. If you had given this to Netflix or anyone else,
On Netflix would have done like
we
maybe
would have gotten like
5
12 seasons of
Maybe
Ted
five,
Lasso.
but even
Ted Lasso, yeah.
Stranger Things, that's
Yeah.
like a beloved show on that
Yeah,
platform. They
because-
got like 5 seasons.
Yeah, I feel like Stranger Things, if it was a different studio, they could have made Stranger Things less seasons because I feel like the reason why Stranger Things got where it got because there was just so much going on. There were so many seasons, there were a lot of storylines, and then at the end of the day, they couldn't conclude and everything,
Right.
close out of the acts. If they had stuck to a definitive story, okay, we are going to talk about this. We're making 3 seasons, and that's it. I think it would have been better than it is because it felt like they started, and that's how I feel. I feel like they weren't intending to do so many seasons, but because they made so much, like there were so many viewers and stuff,
Right.
they were like, oh, this is an opportunity to add a lot of things and to expand the story, and then that brings us back to the issue where like the duration is determined by how well it performs, not by the plan for it.
But don't you also think that maybe some people should, like some creatives, right? They should put their foot down when it comes to setting decisions. Like when the story ends, it ends.
Yeah, sometimes, and that's the thing. With recent times, there are lots of times where we hear about this thing about creative differences. Someone had to leave the show because now it's like the studio executives hold so much power that you as a screenwriter, you have there's only so much you can say, so much pushing back you can do, because at the end of the day, they are the ones producing it. You just have a story and then they are doing everything else. I feel like in the modern era, there is so much like power in the hands of like the producers and executives, and they are not willing to compromise because they have like the strict things they are looking out for, and that's what brings us to like the stalemate we are in right now with creative differences and studio needs over the needs of the the showrunners or the creators.
I also feel like some of the shows too, they don't know how to end it. They don't know how to end the show.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's a big issue now.
Yeah,
One
rather
Piece syndrome.
than try and end it, let's keep pushing the story to a point where we feel like people are tired, and then we just find some way to end it.
But that's also a risk because if you go for that long and you give a crappy ending, it will be the end of.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think there is anything that we can do, or what do you think is the best way to have good shows, or anything that can be done to improve, the shows
That's a tough question.
Yeah,
That's a tough question.
Because
because
the problem is that we are just the ones consuming.
yeah,
If we like it, we will hype it.
yeah,
Yeah. Somebody can wake up and say, "Oh, this show that is just one season is the best show of the year," and then everybody gravitates towards it. I think it's mainly in the hands of the people who are directing these shows.
Mhm.
Just enforce
I
that
think
the quality is there.
yeah, I think if
Yeah.
if we're able to get more passionate studio executives rather than people are only chasing numbers, that would be like the best thing.
Yeah.
But it's very unlikely to happen.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with all that said, even though like shows are not as good as they used to be, there are still a few shows that
Oh,
you
yeah,
know we
definitely,
can watch. And I think
definitely.
right now there are so many shows that it's now difficult to pick the good ones because now there are so many shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the issue is now finding out which of these shows are actually good and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think that another, like, one of the solutions is, like, I know it's something cliche, but you see, it's like marketing. Study the trends around you. You can adopt those trends, but differentiate yourself in a way that yours is more unique. So, like, I bring up a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine because if you look at it, there aren't that many cop, police procedural shows which are sitcoms.
yeah,
They're all
right.
dramas.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Like
yeah.
NCIS and
Yeah,
CSI and all that
CSI,
stuff.
yeah.
So Brooklyn Nine-Nine broke the mold because it showed that you can have a police procedural show but can still be a funny sitcom.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think they proved
yeah.
that when they did that back in 2013.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind
one
of the
one of Brooklyn
examples
Nine-Nine.
of
It's good.
yeah, just break the mold. Like
Yeah.
don't be afraid to break the mold. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think at this point there's only so much we can do. We can just watch the shows we have today and
pick
just
and choose the ones
reminisce
you
and
can.
then be
Right.
like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day. And I think at least we still have nostalgia, if not for anything at all.
But how long can it sustain us? That's the thing.
Yeah.
You try our best.
Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this discussion. It was really fun, and yeah, if you also have any takes for this, you can just leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe. This is New Film, and see you in the next video.
Sharp.